anything?
Yeah. So I was just wondering if you were watching, if anyone had seen any of the Apple Developer Conference.
I have. I've just been catching a few little snippets of it, and it's you know what Apple have done? Apple have done what they always do best. They've not released anything new at all, but what they have done is they're focused on the UI and the UX, and it looks smooth as hell.
Oh yeah.
That stuff looks sleek.
Yeah.
I just saw them go from a laptop. There was a shot where it was like, yeah, you can just look at your laptop screen, lift your head up, and it comes off your laptop screen.
Seamless.
I'm
Absolutely
like,
seamless.
oh, oh gosh.
Oh, like product design as well, right? Like Meta unveiled their new headset a couple of days before the developer conference, obviously trying to steal a little bit of thunder there. But just from a finish and quality of materials standpoint,
Different level.
It's just not the same.
Just a different level. I'm just like, I hate Apple, but at the same time, they're one of the greatest investments that I've got. But you've just got to love how good they are at product design and design.
Absolutely.
They're just
absolutely
flawless. Like, and I keep saying this at every event that I go to. I say, look, yeah, what you have to remember, devs, is that Apple don't have the best product, but they have the best design. And because they have the best design, they're the most valuable company in the world. All you devs have got to do is just concentrate on the user experience, just 25% more, and watch what will happen. And I think this is now going to, yeah, I think there's going to be, I don't think it's going to be an instant wave where we're going to see a mass adoption straight away. I think it's going to take people to have the user experience, be blown away by the user experience, and then it's just going to snowball.
Absolutely. I mean, what they were talking about literally just before I jumped on here, two things. One, the R1 chip, completely new chipset. I think that's the completely new chipset. I think that's the GPU, because Apple haven't had a separate GPU before. It's all been integrated, especially with the shift to the Apple Silicon. Everything's integrated into the same system. But the R1, I think, is the GPU, and they are officially partnering with Unity as well.
Interesting.
So I think it's going to be potentially quite interesting for a bit of a gaming renaissance on Apple hardware, which could be interesting going forward. I mean, I use NVIDIA's GeForce now. I've got a Mac Studio, and I play it with a Nintendo Switch controller. So I've got PC purists who, my friend, he absolutely hates me for it. I'm playing PC games with NVIDIA hardware, streaming it onto an Apple desktop with a Nintendo controller. So I've got everything going on there. But I think it's going to be potentially exactly, yeah. And then this is all being streamed via the Wi-Fi to my TV screen as well. So it's just, if it works, right? Real cobbled together experience.
Fair enough.
But
if it works,
I think it could be quite interesting. Could be really interesting for gaming going forward on Apple hardware. Yeah.
Oh. Now, do you know what's really weird? I wouldn't have said that was a good move until you said that Apple have designed their own chip again. The last two chips that they've designed have just
another level.
Nuts. Like performance for any of the Apple stands or any of the like performance nerds that are out there, or anyone that works in video editing, picture editing, anything like that. Speak to anyone, or if you don't, speak to anyone that does, about the difference between the M1 chip and every other chip. I remember having a massive conversation with one of our loyalists, a guy called George Brown, who works for Paramount, and he does video editing, and he was just, the way he was so passionate about this M1 chip and the way that it just makes his life easier and how everything's so smooth. And now my partner Dom, she's also just started a new design job. She's saying the same thing, and I'm just like, what is it? What are they putting into talking of George Brown? That's so weird. George.
Oh, he just joined.
Yeah.
You know what? I know why he's joined as well is because of the IG live, and then I put on the pinned comment, join Zoom now, Zoom link in latest story. So it's probably just a font. But yeah,
Well,
that is
he's
definitely
trying to join.
time.
But yeah, if this chip is anything like what this M1 chip has been like, but
speak of the devil, and he will appear.
That's literally what I was just talking about. I was like, the last time I've never seen someone that passionate about something apart from you talking about this M1 chip, and it made me just go, nah, what Apple are doing with their hardware is insane. So now I'm interested what this R1 chip is going to do. Like,
well, exactly right. And they were saying that the CPU is the M2, and you've got an R1 in there as well. So you've got, from what they were saying,
you got both.
Both of those things in the headset, which allows for basically real-time rendering of Unity instances in parallel to whatever is going on the M2 chip at the same time. It's like, oof, okay, right.
What?
But this might be quite interesting. So yeah, like the hardware capabilities are going to be very, very interesting. I mean, and just the finish as well. It looks so much better than everything else that's out there. And like, I've got a Mac Studio. My mum works for Apple. I'm not an Apple fanboy. I'm fully with you in that it's not the best hardware. You can build a PC which is potentially far more capable purely based on like raw numbers, right? You can get more capable hardware from, say, NVIDIA or from Intel or from AMD or what have you, and you can build something which is objectively more powerful by all of the benchmarks, but doesn't have that same kind of integrated feel. And you're still dealing with Windows and the registry bloat and the ultimate slowdown that comes with it. So, and this is just the first version, right? This is the first product.
Think about what the
iPhone
this
was
is
like
why
when it
you're
first came
telling
out.
me that it's got both chips combined, I'm like, this isn't even the Pro version yet, or the light version or version 2. Like, what the hell? Like,
it's gonna be interesting.
Oh, my head is just thinking. Just when I thought Unreal had a complete monopoly on like graphical processing, no matter what, to do graphical processing, you need good hardware. You need a good chip.
Exactly.
And right now, Apple's chips ain't nobody touching their chips. Nobody. So I'm just questioning. Does this mean Apple's now competing with PS5?
I mean, wait and see what the numbers say. I think we'll have to wait until we can see what the hardware does. But I think it's going to be quite interesting, I think, going forward. And it's like got like the spatial audio in there as well. Like,
no, I think they're not competing.
Like 9 different cameras in there. I mean, depending on what the R1 chip does, they might even be competing with NVIDIA, which would be really interesting, especially at the moment. I don't know. I'm cynical though. I love me some Jensen. So we'll wait and see what the hardware actually looks like. Wait until we see some numbers on what the R1 is actually capable of, and then wonder what else they've got cooking in the background as well.
That's insane. We got George Brown.
Should we move on to the disclaimer before we forget and
yeah. By the way, none of that was investment advice, by the way, guys. That was just presentation. We just got to get that out there legally. I've just made you co-host.
I thought we were covered.
No, we haven't done it yet. We've just been talking about this Apple announcement.
Nah, yeah, it's actually, it's making ripples in the space, man. But yeah, sounds really, really interesting. Yeah.
Okay, what's good, people? It's currently 14 minutes past 8 p.m. UK time, Monday, the 5th of June, 2023. What an amazing time to be alive with everything going on with Apple and also the British weather, which is nice.
Not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Quick disclaimer, terms and conditions. All our content is for education, information, and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy, sell, hold any assets, no place any trades. Please always do your own research. Our content is intended and should only be used for informational use only. It is very, very important to do your own analysis before making any investments, which should be based on your own individual circumstances. As an additional disclaimer, please always pay your debts and bills before making any investments. You should always take independent professional advice from a professional advisor. Mr. Harding, Keish, George, Brown, Ben, our special guest. Anyone here a financial advisor?
Nope.
Alas, no.
No. We've got
No,
got financial navigator in here. We've got blockchain Sensei in here. We've got Ben in here, George Brown, but no financial advisors. Alternatively, independently research and verify all and any information you may find in our show that you may wish to rely upon, whether you may wish to make an investment decision or otherwise. All investments come with this very important word. And what's that, boys?
Risks.
Risk.
Yes, please always do your own research. Neither myself, Mr. Harding, Keish, George Brown, anyone in this webinar, financial navigator, and our special guest Ben are financial advisors, and we do not intend to be perceived or received as financial advisors. However, we are working in collaboration with several accredited advisors. If you're unable to mitigate your risk, please contact us immediately so we can refer you to an accredited financial advisor. If you would like to attend this live webinar, it's every Monday, 8 p.m. to 9:30 UK time. Click the link in our blockchain.sensei IG bio or our Twitter. Basically, go to our link tree. And yeah, it's right there, the Game and NFT Friday Zoom link. We also have a webinar on Fridays around the same time. And yeah, over to our special guest and hosts, Mr. Harding and Ben.
Okay. So let's get into it. So normally we've changed up the structure for anyone that's not been here for a while. We used to do the news first, but we've realized what we've got to do is we've got to do the special guests first and then get them to chime in on the news if they're still available. So let's get into it. So first things first, massive thank you, Ben, for jumping on today's webinar. I really appreciate you for taking the time out. So Ben and Blockchain Sensei, we've been meaning to talk and cross lanes and cross paths for at least a year, but it's just not been,
It's been a while.
It's just not been happening. And then we did one call and it was just like, bam, synergies, boom, yeah, same page, let's roll. So we just thought, right, let's do the traditional thing, get you on the webinar, introduce you to the community, and just involve you in our network as much as we can. So Ben, what even got you into this space? Like, why do you even care about blockchain or investing in general?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. So I got into the space in circa 2017, right? Roughly the same time that the ICO boom was going on. Saw loads of talk on social media, saw loads of people making loads of cash, thought, oh, you know what, obviously I'm going to be able to do that as well. So waded in with both feet into the ICO boom and had probably a broadly similar experience to many people in that I made absolutely nothing. So I thought, okay, fine. Yet I've been burnt. I've had an experience from an investing standpoint, but there are still loads and loads of people working in this industry, loads of people operating in this industry from a tech standpoint and from a building standpoint. And there's obviously something that I'm missing at the moment about the tech, because the investment experience has been poor at best. So there must be something else going on here that I'm missing at the moment. So I basically set out to learn as much as I could. I read everything. So the classics of like Blockchain Revolution, Mastering Bitcoin, Digital Gold, all those seminal industry classics, as it were. I read all of them. I found it super interesting. And this was when I was living and working in China, and there is quite an interesting Ethereum community in China. And as we've seen, China drives industry events like no other country. It's banned, it's not banned. Mining is banned, it's unbanned. All this sort of stuff, right? So I got quite involved from a learning standpoint, 2017, 2018, got back involved in 2020 with the DeFi summer. And then had some personal health issues crop up, which basically meant that I had to take a bit of a step back, reevaluate what I was doing, how I was doing it. I had some forced downtime, which meant that I wasn't able to do what I was doing at the time, which was spending monumental amounts of time in the gym, leaving myself with absolutely no time to do anything else. And yet I found myself in a position where I had that time. So I enrolled in a master's program with Ziggurat. Studied for a year between May 21 and May 22.
Just got to pause you there. Just for people, what's Ziggurat? Because I don't. Not
Ziggurat,
everyone
okay,
knows.
sure. So Ziggurat is a business school in Barcelona. They offer tech education in different spaces. So one half is on the innovation and technology side with the blockchain masters. They also have an MBA in digital transformation, and they're also going to be launching something in quantum soon as well from a business capacity. And then they also have some stuff in things like smart cities management, and more in the building side as well. So I found this program because I had basically a year to fill. There were 2 intakes a year. Those intakes happened to coincide with the time that I had available to me. So I enrolled in the program, did that for a year, got heavily involved in the blockchain education scene at the time as well. We built and launched an initiative called the Global Blockchain Initiative. We went from 0 to 3,500 followers on LinkedIn over the course of 2 months, ran a free to enroll blockchain academy with around about 4,000 students from 126 different countries. With
Wait. Pause. Come on, guys. You know what you got to do. Here. Turn your mics on and give this man a round of applause.
Without a doubt.
Much appreciated.
I want to see those mics coming on. Come on.
Most definitely.
Come on, guys. Credit where credit's due. Now that is it. Real impact. That is real change in lives. Like that's wow. Please drop that number again.
So 4,000 students, 126 different countries, roughly. 48 different lecturers from various entities. So we had Frederick Gregor from the Cardano Foundation delivered something. We had some senior people from PwC on the legal and regulatory side, some senior members of the Liechtenstein Financial Markets Authority talking about the Liechtenstein regulatory frameworks. So literally everything from the very basics of blockchain all the way up until things like distributed computation and the metaverse and decentralized infrastructure and how it can be used for the metaverse, right? So full suite. And then since that point, built some education programs for some of the bigger layer ones, collaborated with a number of other different projects, working on a startup, which is also an alumni project at the moment, and launching and doing my own thing in the education space as well. So it's not been boring, to say the least.
Oh wow! So I'm gonna ask the question that everyone's probably dying to ask because we're all super keen investors here. Now, I wanted to say no shilling, but I don't feel like an answer you would give would be a shill. I feel like it'd be an intelligent, educated answer. So what? Because blockchain is a massive thing. You've got DeFi, you got NFTs, you got DePIN, you got real world asset tokens, you got loads of stuff going on. Which space of blockchain do you see as taking off for financial gain the most?
Honestly, I think that because we're now starting to see some regulatory frameworks come in, right, which are giving clarity as to what this industry actually is. I think the important thing to understand is what is the purpose of regulation? And the way that I see it, there are 2 purposes. One is to regulate the kind of behaviors that are possible with a given technology. So it's not necessarily regulating the technology, it's regulating what people can do with the technology. So like the various shitcoin launches we see, and then the rug pulls that invariably end up appearing after 99% of launches, right? That is something which is going to be generally pretty harmful from an investment standpoint. So that's something which is going to be regulated out. Fine. Second purpose is to create an interface between old ways of doing things and new ways of doing things. So Web3 is a great example. Web3 has all of these wonderful ideas, but as it currently stands without regulatory frameworks, the way that Web3 operates is fundamentally incompatible with the way that the rest of the world operates. And this is neither good, this is neither bad, this is just kind of the way that it is. But with regulatory frameworks, you get value flow happening between 2 different sets of systems. So to answer your question, the thing that I'm most excited about isn't necessarily any specific industry vertical. It's about how blockchain is going to facilitate an evolution of governance as a whole. So if you think about the way that organizations are typically governed, there are broadly 4 different organizational forms, and I draw a lot on the work of a guy called David Ronfelt. He wrote a paper in the 90s called Tribes, Institutions, Markets and Networks, a Framework for Societal Evolution. It's a nice light read of about 50 pages. Genuinely, it's actually quite a light read.
Is that document available everywhere, by the way?
Yes,
Or
yes. So that is
global?
publicly available. I'll drop the link for after this, and you can make sure that it goes in the comments or the description, so people can have a look. But basically, what that paper posed the existence of and posed the evolution of was something called a network organization. And a network organization is one that is characterized, instead of by top-down hierarchy, by centralized power, by these vertical relationships, so power distance, that sort of thing, right? It's characterized more by value flow between individuals. And how that organization functions is dependent upon how that value can flow. Now, great example of a technology that has facilitated the maturation of network organizations is the internet, because we now have this wonderful tool that allows us to share information incredibly quickly. The problem is, as it currently stands, only information can be shared. And for a given organizational form to mature, it's not just information that needs to flow, it's value that needs to flow. And when a new organizational form, so a network organization, for example, is maturing, previous forms of organization, be that institutional hierarchies or be that markets, will generally display some friction towards that happening, because the new organizational form will take responsibility away from an older organizational form. So we see this in the 20th century, right? With the emergence of capitalism, and then you saw various revolutions happening. One way of thinking about why those things happened was it was institutional hierarchies as a form of organization taking control of the market back. So there was friction happening there, right? Now, with blockchain, we have a technology that allows for not just information flow, but also value flow outside of existing systems. And this is where governance comes in. Because governance tokens specifically, this is what I'm most excited about. Governance tokens. Doesn't matter how they're being used. Governance tokens as an entity, as a thing, are what I find really interesting, because governance tokens provide a means of valuing a network. And if you think about what a governance token is, there are a couple of things. So if you think about a share is representative of the value of the company, and the value that company creates is based upon potentially products or business practices or any of these kind of conventional metrics that you would use, right? But it doesn't necessarily measure the value of the network of the individuals that are involved in that company, because you have this separation of management and ownership. With governance tokens, there is no separation of management and ownership. So by owning a governance token, you are able to participate in governance, you are able to participate in the management of an organization, but you also own a part of that organization as well. So the governance token becomes the value of the governance token becomes a representation of, 1, what the product is building, 2, how that organization is being managed, 3, the value of the network of individuals that is building that product, 4, the value of access to those individuals, because if you have a governance token, you're a part of that network, which gives you access to the individuals in that network, right? So as soon as these things are codified in the governance frameworks, how to effectively manage something like this starts to mature, be that with smart contracts, or be that with decentralized decision-making, or be that with some combination of centralized decision-making and decentralized, creating some new form, taking the best of both worlds, right? You have potentially a really, really powerful engine for value creation.
Yeah, now that you put it out there, when you think about it, if you, as an ordinary person right now, you don't have that much say, that much control, that much power over any institutions, any corporations whatsoever. Whereas governance tokens give so much power to the ordinary person, it's actually uncomprehendable. And
it's huge.
And when you think of it, of the lifetime power that it gives, in terms, there's inheriting assets, and then there's inheriting governance tokens. If this plays out the way that we think it's going to play out, the most valuable thing someone can hand down is their governance tokens of a protocol that the entire internet is run on. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And
Mm.
like the value of access to those individuals, depending on what it is that given organization is building, because all organizations have a purpose, right? Organizations are driven by people, and people are brought together by some sort of common purpose. And ultimately, it's the relationships between those individuals which characterize how an organization is run, be they horizontal in terms of value flow, be they vertical in terms of hierarchy. These are all characteristics, but with governance tokens, you have a way to effectively monetize, like value that. There is a way that you can value those connections. There is a way that you can value that network. You can value the product, and it's all in the same thing. And if you hold a governance token and you are incentivized to contribute value to that project, because the more value you create, the more your governance token is going to go up in value. And then the more other individuals are going to be incentivized as well. And then if you're creating good work and people want to be associated with you, there's going to be more demand for access to you, which is where the governance tokens come back in as well, because governance tokens also give access to the network. So things get really, really interesting with governance. But again, this is where regulation comes back in, because at the moment we don't really know how to manage something like this. We don't know how to govern an organization effectively. But with things like smart contracts and in combination with more traditional corporate governance frameworks, elements of traditional organizations, be that permissioning or something along those lines, right? If you can take more of a pragmatic approach, find what works, put the best bits together, and then create something fundamentally new, which is potentially quite disruptive. Because the agility that an organization of this nature is going to have relative to an incumbent, some sort of centralized entity, there's going to be no way to compete. Absolutely no way to compete.
The way that I thought of it when I was thinking about governance and DAOs initially, it would be like Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah, I think governance tokens are the equivalent of having very early shares in Berkshire Hathaway. I'm talking like when Berkshire Hathaway was worth like $1, $2. I think it's the equivalent of that, but then with more voting control. So it'd be like Berkshire Hathaway, before they bought more Apple shares, would have to get permission from the group. And that's, when you think of it in terms of an asset play, and you think of it in terms of asset management, governance tokens can play such a crazy role. So my question for you now is what are you working on now? Do you want to show us a little bit of what you're working on? Your screen's available to share, so feel free to show us what you're working on now.
Absolutely. So two things. One is the blockchain education course. So again, it's a complicated space, right? And the problem, we've spoken about this, Michael, big problem with education in the space is it's not really education. A lot of it's propaganda. There's a lot of educational content out there which teaches you what to think about the technology, be that like Bitcoin is the future, or that proof of work is bad, proof of work is good, what have you, but it doesn't teach you how to think about this technology, how this technology can be applied, how it can be most effectively leveraged in a business context, which isn't great, because it means that you end up with loads and loads of people who are all singing from the same hymn sheet, but the problem is all of the words on the hymn sheet are fundamentally wrong, but because everyone is because everybody is saying
you just verbalized something that I couldn't like put my finger on it, but you are right. One thing that is missing in crypto education space is educating people how to think critically.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. And there's like, if you think about it from a marketing standpoint, right? Like education's a fantastic marketing tool. But if that is being span up ultimately because you want to get more people building in your ecosystem, fine, teach them about your ecosystem, but make it clear that that's what the purpose is, right? This is the reason that we're doing this, is because we want more people building on XYZ chain, whatever that chain is, or using this protocol, fine. Teach your users how to use it. But that kind of unbiased, this is what the tech is, this is what it does, these are the challenges, these are the benefits, these are the solutions, this is what the future might look like. This isn't something which generally exists in a super accessible way, because there are master's programs out there which do take this approach. But the problem is master's level education is expensive, right?
Yeah.
And it's not accessible to everybody. It's not accessible to the majority of people. So basically, this is the problem that I'm trying to fix at the moment. And I cannot share my screen; it's currently disabled. But this
he's not co-host yet.
Is he not? Wait, hang on.
No.
Oh, so sorry. So sorry.
No, not at all.
Basics.
So rude, man.
But basically, this is the problem that I'm trying to fix.
There we go.
There we go. Beautiful. There we go. Can we see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Cool. So this is the first offering that I put together. It's a 10-part masterclass bundle, 10 different lectures from the very basics of like what is the core value proposition of blockchain, what does it facilitate, and like the role of trust, right? The role of the trusted intermediary, this expectation that trusted intermediaries are a fundamental and ever-present aspect of the way that value is shared. And it historically, that's the way it's always been. It's the way it's always had to be, because we haven't had technology which has facilitated disintermediated. Yeah, do you see what I did there with the name? Disintermediated transfers of value. So going from the very basics of how blockchain can be used to evolve trust through all of the different industry verticals, basics of blockchain. And again, this is all non-technical, super accessible, because we have a real problem with jargon in the industry. Everyone loves a buzzword. The problem is the majority of people can't agree on what that buzzword means. We have lots of descriptions, but very few definitions when it comes to various. I mean, even the term blockchain, like what does it mean?
Yeah,
very rare that you
really
get a
break it
consistent
down.
answer.
That's literally our first page of our education is breaking it down. Ninja's got a quoted phrase that he made up. Do you want to drop your bar for the listeners?
I'm a bit worried now. Like, is there a good enough description? But let's go. So, the go-to definition, especially for beginners, when explaining what is the blockchain for people who don't have a Scoobies, is think of the word block as the word computer and the word chain as in linked. So the blockchain is just computers linked together on a network. And then I draw the visualization: computer, chain, blockchain. And because these computers are linked together in this specific way in this network, this makes the network decentralized, because compared to more classic systems where there is it's not a blockchain, it's literally a block going downwards. And you can also imagine the blockchain as, I use the analogy of a bridge, right? So imagine there is a bridge, and in the middle of the bridge is a whiteboard. And in order to cross the bridge, you must write your name or something that identifies you on that whiteboard with a permanent marker, because everything on the blockchain is not only public but is immutable. And that is the general for people who don't have a Scoobies. But yeah, I don't know if that's
and you can simplify it even further, right? It's a great analogy, but you can simplify it even further. Ultimately, the way that I see it is blockchain is infrastructure that you trust instead of a third party.
Boom.
That's it.
Yeah. That's so do you co-sign the word trustless? Because a lot of people have a problem with that word.
Honestly, I think it's a bit of a misnomer in that it's trustless in that you don't have to trust the person that you're transacting with. But you are still putting your trust in the blockchain doing its job, right? So you're not necessarily removing trust from the equation, you're moving it to the infrastructure. It's trusted infrastructure, basically, right? And if you don't trust the blockchain for whatever reason, so let's say it's a chain that's been recently hacked, for example, probably not going to want to transact with it because you don't trust it, right? You might still want to transact with somebody, but you're not going to trust that infrastructure. So the trust is still a very, very important element. It's just you're not placing that trust in a third party. It's being moved onto the blockchain itself.
Makes sense. Before we forget, am I right in saying that your courses have got something to do with a university?
Yeah, so I mentioned that I mentioned that I was a student in the Ziggurat Masters program, and I graduated last year. Since graduating last year, I'm now the co-director of that program. So
Nice.
a bit of a field promotion. Yep. So from being student to academic co-director. And at the moment, we're completely redesigning the program to bring it up to be in line with the needs of the market at the moment, not the needs of the market in 2017. Because if you look at a lot of material that's out there from a lot of universities, it's out of date, right? There's been so much that has happened in just the past 2 years with NFTs and the various other layer ones appearing, and then gaming as a vertical appearing, and then DeFi starting to mature. Then you've got decentralized science, you've got regenerative finance, you've got all of these other different industry verticals that are appearing. And a lot of current university programs don't really cover them. So we're completely redesigning the program to bring everything up into alignment. And then a lot of the material that is going to be going out onto my site is obviously it isn't going to be exactly the same, but it's drawing from the experiences that I've had with the university, with the master's program, what that level of content needs to look like. So if there's someone who's interested in master's level education, but they can't afford it or they don't have the time, this is potentially an alternative, because there's a really big push in the European Union at the moment towards micro-credentials, right? Like there's been some pretty big shifts that have happened in the higher education space in the wake of COVID, and with changing. Hey, there I am.
I'm in the background. Sorry.
I'm playing in the background.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. It's always a bit weird when I hear myself at the moment. But basically there's this big push towards micro credentials, which are ultimately a more user-friendly, a more user experience positive way of consuming educational content, as opposed to having to enroll in like a year-long program and then having to be there between Monday and Friday, and in some cases not being allowed to work at the same time. Micro credentials are more of a shift towards this asynchronous learning that allows you to consume it when it's convenient for you in more bite-sized chunks, which are going to allow you to really tailor your learning experience. So instead of you completing a program and there being potentially, I don't know, 40% if you're lucky, maybe 60% if you're unlucky, content that you're not necessarily interested in, but it's a part of the program and you can't necessarily tailor it. With micro credentials, there's this view to putting the student first, such that it's more of a customizable learning experience. And there's some really interesting work being done in Europe specifically for this idea that educational certifications should be interoperable as well. There's a company called Accreditation, who I am in no way affiliated with yet, but it's something that I would potentially like to integrate in the future, that offer micro-credentialing basically as a service. And one aspect of their offering is blockchain-based accreditation. So your certificates can be issued on chain, and then you don't necessarily have the problems inherent with trying to get like your degree certified or something like that, right? You've got to get like the right stamp from the right place in the right time. And now that we've left the European Union, you need like 3 bits of paper, you need like a notary, and it's just archaic. It just doesn't need to be this complicated.
Yeah, it's
so there's this big push towards these micro credentialing, and that's what I'm trying to do with this, is trying to create these easier to consume bite-sized morsels that give you what you want, nothing more.
Yeah.
So perfect segue there. Now's your chance to shill and plug your course.
There we go.
Everyone that's listening.
We'll also have it in the description for the replay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in anything that Ben has said, this is Ben's LinkedIn. I'm going to pop this in the chat so everyone can go show some love and support everything he's doing.
Help me crack that 6,000 followers. I didn't realize I was quite so close.
Well, should be done with a few follows from us. Let's get Ben up to 6,000. There's 11 in the chat, so if we all do that will sort that out. And then the website, you just go to on his LinkedIn, it's right here. And if you wanted to find out I was just loading this up before, that's why it started playing. So you can see, you click on blockchain beginnings, and here you go.
Hello, I'm Ben Baldieri. Welcome to Disintermediate.global. I'm excited to introduce you to our comprehensive Blockchain Beginnings Masterclass bundle. Designed with professionals like you in mind, it's your ticket to a robust understanding of blockchain technology. Over the course of 10 days, we'll unlock one masterclass per day, each focusing on a different aspect of the blockchain universe. From Blockchain 101 to DeFi, NFTs, and DAOs, and even the exciting world of Web3, we've got it all covered. Each day you'll get not only access to a new lecture, but also pre-reading materials, engaging quizzes, reflection questions, and additional resources to deepen your understanding.
Perfect. So if you want to go and do that, all you got to do is click sign up now. I think we are going to be dropping a link in our chat. But probably what we're going to do is we're going to give it to Dojo members first. So Dojo members are members of Blockchain Sensei that have completed our basic education, or that we feel are up to scratch to go on to more advanced education. So what we're going to do is any of our Dojo members who are interested in doing this course, drop us a message, and we will get this to you. Thank you ever so much, Ben. Would love you to hang around just for the.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to dig in for the news.
Thank you.
Always happy to share some opinions. You'll learn that about me very quickly.
Oh, cool. Your opening on Apple was incredible. Keisha, I know you wanted to touch on some stuff to do with digital identity.
Yeah. You want me to run that before the news?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess it could be. It's a great segue before the news, actually, because it is a bit of news. Funny enough. So yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that has happened in the space that, you know, coincidentally we speak about years in advance, right? And I guess this is just another one of those cases. I mean, I know definitely NFT Fridays. I know over the course of us running the game, we've discussed you know, governmental bodies utilizing NFTs, utilizing blockchain, and also NFTs for digital identities and things of that nature. So I think yeah, this is great. It's really interesting to see what's popped up. I apologize in advance. I'm not on my computer today, so I will be sharing my screen from my phone, which I don't like to do, but you know, gotta make it work over here. So let me know when you guys do see my screen, and hopefully I do not show too much confidential things.
How'd you see first?
Okay, cool. All right, so the Pentagon, everyone, if you don't know what the Pentagon is, then they are basically large entity that govern a bunch of different things within the US, but it trickles down into the world. They are basically the source of intelligence for basically the US government, etc., and they govern bodies all across the world from there. But this is something I don't. Yeah. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So the Pentagon paves a roadmap for zero trust by 2027. So this is called the zero trust internet. But what this basically is a digital identity, a digital ID that you have to basically be approved for in order to surf the internet, which is quite interesting. So what they're doing is they are essentially controlling and creating an internet where everyone has to have this digital identity. And I think that, yes, it's quite interesting, as we've discussed this happening from early on with NFTs and use cases of the governments. I mean, we've discussed the UK government and how much criminal records they lost. We discussed passports, digital passports. We saw Apple actually utilizing digital passports and allowing people to have a digital passport on their phone, which was revolutionary. But seeing this and things like this coming into play is quite interesting. I think that yeah, I think that there's a lot of good things and a lot of bad things that come from this new digital revolution. But I think that maybe a good angle to look at this is that when it comes to vetting projects or when it comes to vetting individuals, there's going to be a better differentiation from individuals and artificial intelligence. But it depends on what this process of actually getting this digital ID across is, and if there's any ways around that. But one thing that is very important to understand is that with this digital identity, it will track and trace and register everything and log everything that you do to that digital identity, which I think is obviously a new form of control as you're surfing the internet and you're doing whatever you're doing. But my question to that is, what if someone else is on your internet?
My question to this is, I was very anti this initially, just like I was very anti central bank digital currencies.
Yeah.
The more that I'm just gonna mute Joshua. The more that I understand AI and the existential threat that AI has, and how quickly this thing can move in terms of financial terrorism and the ability to dismantle a whole country in a 24-hour window financially.
No, bro. Not even 24 hours, bro. In a 20-minute window, bro.
Yeah, in the 20-minute window, a whole country financially can just be broken. So this is why we have, whether we like it or not, we have to have digital IDs, because you can make a digital clone of every single person in the UK in 20 minutes, like you said. So with their voices, with pictures of them, everything. So you can send a whole country into complete bananas chaos with AI. Not tomorrow, not next week. We're talking right now, because again, keep drumming it, and Kathy Woods keeps saying it. The biggest problem with AI is the rapidly decreasing costs. To build ChatGPT before lockdown cost £10 million. Right now, it costs 500K to build.
No, but even
like that's mad.
Separate to the cost, if you're a coder and you know what you're doing, I can't speak about certain things that I know about AI, but it has vast capabilities to take down companies like in seconds. And I'm talking security companies, security systems, whatever company it may be. It could be the most bulletproof company ever. There's AIs that can literally destroy and demolish them in a matter of seconds. And it's like having an army of a million hackers.
And this is why I think identity and micro credentials, like what we were just talking about, that are on the blockchain, are essential, because we are going to see people's identity getting assassinated and destroyed and wiped. So that is going to be the new murder. That is what it's going to be like. We already see it. We already see it on a macro level of news institutions attacking individuals and destroying their character. But now what the next step is, it's going to happen to individuals just willy-nilly, just bam, 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 bam. And people aren't going to be able to prove that they weren't here, or they weren't there, or they didn't say this, or they didn't do that, unless you've got your ID on the blockchain saying, well, actually, this video's come out of me saying and doing this, but my blockchain ID says that I was here and I was doing this. Like, it's going to become, whether people like it or not, for me personally, I want a blockchain ID, because for me, my personality and my identity is the most precious thing on the planet. And I've had my identity stolen. I don't know any of you that have had your identity stolen on social media.
I have thousands of
had it
from these fake Ninja T accounts.
It's not nice. It's not nice at all. And I think if people get into a really bad financial state, these attacks are going to get bigger, and physical actions that people will take from being attacked by someone that they think is attacking them is going to get worse as well. And this is where I think this blockchain ID is important, and I think some kind of financial control to be able to turn off transactions to a wallet or to wherever it's just going to be needed. Like I know people don't want to hear it, but I say it's a better of two evils. What you got to choose the negative side that you want. And for me, if you've got nothing to hide from the government and the government's got no reason to control you, then shouldn't really be a problem. There was a thing called lockdown where everyone got locked down, and that was a form of government control. But there's still plenty of people going outside. There's still plenty of people throwing parties. So a lot of the control is mental, not physical. And a lot of the time, the physical control comes from not understanding the mental game of how to manipulate and maneuver around the mental barriers that are put in front of people. And I think, like Ben was saying, it's about critical thinking.
Yeah.
And for me, when I think, if I'm going to scale my business to where I want to scale it to, and I'm going to have the impact on the world that I want to, then unfortunately, that means that people that I care about and I love are in direct line of fire for financial crimes. And I don't want that. And whether you like it or not, if you are successful in any shape, way, or form on this planet, there is going to be someone trying to attack you, bring down your character, or assassinate you, or your financial whatever. And people don't care. I've had it happen. There's people using pictures of my mom, my dad, people using pictures of my best friend's family to try and get people. It's crazy what people were doing before AI. So this is where I'm like, nah, like,
oh bro, I've seen some stuff that they're doing now with AI. I saw a video from, I don't know if it was Ghana, but out in Africa.
I think I might have seen this, the one with the video.
Yes, he was a black man. I'm telling you, this guy's a real black man, the original black man. Yeah, he's on camera, and he's basically streaming live. What is synced on over him is a white girl with blonde hair, and it looks exactly like the white girl with blonde hair. But when he speaks and moves his mouth, whatever he does, and the funny thing was, he was wearing glasses as well, and the girl had glasses on exactly the same as him. So like the level of like buffoonery that's happening with this AI now, it's a whole different ball game that we're stepping into now. And I think one thing that we also said as well, like the real gangsters of the world are not the man on the road doing whatever they're doing. It's the hackers now, bro. It's the coders, it's the developers. Those are the real gangsters of the world.
Yep, 100%, 100%. So let's go into some news. So first bit of news I want to talk about is whoever has been selected for this trial. I am so jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I saw this.
If you are getting blessed right now, big shout to you. But I'm gonna put it out there, and whoever wants to take this idea as well, do it. I'm gonna set up some Facebook ads to target this area of people, because these are the perfect customers. I'm gonna target
free disposable income
because they've just got £1,600 a month extra for 2 years. What are the chances that these 30 people have got high levels of financial literacy?
Wait. In order to receive this £1,600, do they like? Are they capped in terms of income, or are they free to earn as much income outside
Free to earn as much as they want.
But isn't the point of the test to see if they can live off the income?
No, because universal basic income isn't to get you to move off it. Universal basic income is to provide people an income if there's no other if there's a mass drop in employment levels.
But these
Just
people
because they won't be able to create the jobs in 15 years time. You won't be able to create jobs fast enough.
Hmm.
So
what I mean, these people who receive 1,600, isn't the point of them receiving 1,600 to test if they can live off it? Because giving somebody 1,600 who's already making $3,000, you just
They're
give
not
them
gonna do nothing. They must
Yeah,
be giving people that have much then.
no, it's not that either. It's not to see if they can live off it. It's just an experiment to see what happens in the equality of people. So some of the people that are receiving it are going to be on like $5,000 a month already. Some of them are going to be on benefits already. It's
But
just to
leaving
see
the care
what
system.
happens.
It says for 18-year-olds leaving the care system.
No, this is the one in Wales.
It's just in Wales,
Oh.
yeah.
That's the one in Wales. I already know
I think-
about it.
Could be pretty interesting, to be honest. I mean, because I've looked at some of the data from it, and because they've run similar trials in India, for example, for farmers, right, whose work and income is not only highly output related, but also highly climate related as well. And they were measuring more holistic metrics, so things like quality of life improvements, things like nutrition, things like all-cause mortality, that sort of stuff, right? So much more big picture metrics. And I mean, it basically showed that by having your basic needs guaranteed to be taken care of, everything improves. Everything improves. All metrics go up. So better quality of life, better overall happiness, lower incidence of or lower rates of all-cause mortality, right? Everything improves from it. And like there's the arguments that people are going to be disincentivized to work and that sort of thing. And like I kind of understand the rationale there. But if you're someone who is potentially super creative, you're working in a creative field, and you're in one of those creative fields that doesn't necessarily pay dividends at the start of your career. It takes a while to build up a base, to build up a fan base, to sell your work or whatever. And you're having to do 2 or 3 shit part-time jobs to support yourself while you're trying to pursue this side hustle. What would happen if you didn't have to do that? What would happen if that was no longer a requirement? If you could focus purely on your craft, and you would know that you would have enough money to have somewhere to live and be able to feed yourself. Like, obviously it shouldn't be set at a level where you're able to like holiday and stuff like that, because then I understand like there is
£1,600 you can.
I mean, you probably could actually, yeah.
A lot of trips to Benidorm
the month. Yeah, get like an all-inclusive package deal once a month. That'd be all right.
Yeah.
But like for individuals like that, and then globally, like if you scale that up, if think about the number of people who are doing jobs they hate because they have to do them from a financial standpoint. If there was a way to unlock that latent potential, in whatever capacity that may be, someone may be creative, someone may be looking to write something, some like whatever that may be. If you're able to unlock that opportunity for more people, surely that's a good thing.
Now I've got 3 points on this, so I just need to write them down before I forget them. Money velocity, passion, and distraction. Okay, so here's my 3 points on this. Number 1 is money velocity. I think I've given an example of this before on the charts. I'll quickly pull them up now as a little segue into that as well. The global money velocity, M2 money velocity, is down like a motherfucker. Excuse my swearing, because it is down lower than it has ever been before. So what is money velocity? Is how much times money circulates back inside its own community. Now, M2 money velocity in America is down crazy. Like, look at this. This thing has fallen off a cliff since the 1960s. Look.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this is...
I don't know what I'm looking at, but it looks bad.
That is not a good sign. That is not good in any way, shape, or form. Let me turn off the Bollinger Bands, because that might be skewing it a little bit. There we go.
There we go. That makes slightly more sense.
It looks a little bit better. But we have to bear in mind, this is let's do it on the monthly. There we go. So this is the monthly time frame. It doesn't look that better when I put it on the monthly time frame. So this is not good, right? And then when we go to the M2 money supply, not good at all. And this is it when it's circulating inside an economy. So how do you increase money velocity? You're gonna have to give people more money because they're just not spending it that much inside their own economies. If you create a universal basic income combined with a central bank digital currency that is timed and people have to spend it within their own community within a 30-day window, bam, you change the money velocity. Now, that's play number one. Play number two is passion. And I want to use a real life example. I'm a big believer, I've seen it in the schools when I've worked in the schools, is when people are passionate, especially young people, when they are passionate and know that there is money behind what they are doing, they work harder than on anything on the planet. Like once you tap into what something someone is passionate about, there is no amount of hours that you can say to them that
it's not a job.
It's not a job. They are just obsessed with it. It's like all of us at Blockchain Sensei. It is not a job for us to do Blockchain Sensei, to do these webinars, because we're not doing them for money. We're doing them because we're obsessed.
Reading charts, studying, helping people, adding value, fixing problems is just our purpose.
Yeah, we just love it. And I want to give an even better example because it's a really bespoke one, and it sums it up. Now, Dominica, I want you to explain about your friend at work that makes bread.
Oh, Pedro.
Yeah, explain about Pedro. Because this is a great example of what universal basic income can do. Go on.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, so Pedro is a dev, a young dev. He's amazingly talented. He looks after our whole website. Like, there's 3 guys that look after the whole website, and Pedro does, like, he's got his own department and no one else, like, looks after his own code. He does all the like new bits of coding for the team, and the other 2 guys are a bit older and a bit more experienced with kind of like e-commerce stuff, but he does all the newer coding systems, which is really cool. But Pedro, really, his passion is baking. Like, he wants to, he's like this incredibly smart and talented dev, and he wants to open a bakery instead.
Yep. So tell everybody what he does in his spare time.
He perfects his baking. Like, every weekend he makes 3 or 4 loaves of bread. He brings us cinnamon rolls to work all the time. That his own cinnamon rolls, like, he just loves doing it. He just enjoys people trying it and telling him how good they are, or like if they like it or if they don't like it.
Now, if someone was paid working for Hovis or working for Warburton's, are they bringing in a fresh loaf of bread that they're making and modifying and testing every single week? No. Whereas when someone's passionate about it, they're going above and beyond what someone's being paid to do. And this is where I think if universal basic income comes in, what we're going to see offered to the world, people combined with AI, people cannot comprehend what is going to get created, because people that are passionate about things that we can't even imagine, that don't have the time, don't have the money, don't have whatever, are now going to have that, and they're going to have access to education and the tools to implement it. So we're going to see. This is why I'm so pro it. Okay, the reason I'm negative it is distraction. Now, comes back to what Ben was saying, because the world we're going into means that
you're sitting at home on your ass.
A lot of people are going to be very distracted by their very fancy Apple headset, and are going to be playing digital games, collecting digital in-game items. Yes, they will be worth money and they will have assets, but people are going to be distracted from the real world infrastructure projects. They're going to be distracted from the governance tokens. Now, if I'm a big mega bank, what do I want? I want the big ass governance tokens, because that's legacy wealth. But the world can't complain that they didn't get any of these legacy wealth tokens if I was giving them £1,600 a month. It's your own fault. And that, for me, is the more dangerous thing, because what this does is it causes the gap between the rich and the poor. Even though it sounds mad to give people £1,600 a month makes the poor poorer and the rich richer.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all, because furlough is a testament of that, and whatever they had in America, I forgot what it was called.
Yeah.
Because look at the hyperinflation that we're doing.
The stimmies.
Stimulus check. That was it. Stimulus check. Yeah.
So we've seen it already, and
we've learned already from recent history or now present moment.
So that's that. So quickly on to the last bits of news. So Nike, their NFTs have been announced to feature in EA Sports, just like Dominica's work with FIFA. Big shouts to Dominica on that sly little plug there.
I mean, I'm glad it's not just me plugging my shit in this one.
It's got to be done. So yeah, Nike NFTs. We definitely told everybody this was financial advice. We did put it out there that we were getting them, and that if you guys wanted to get them, you might benefit.
No, it's not financial advice because there's no financial transaction. If it's free, it's just a financial recommendation or action.
We told people to get an account. We didn't tell you to buy the NFT.
No.
That is a good point. So then there was a post about what is happening with Coinbase. So Coinbase are doing some mad right now, and nobody is even clocked this. This is not anywhere. They are launching institutional sized ETH and Bitcoin futures contracts. I can't wait to read this next
institutionalized what?
Because I don't even know how they're gonna.
What does institutional size mean in this instance? Like they're going to be like a lot of them, or like that? I'm sorry. This is my jaded cynicism coming through. I see a lot of buzzwords. What does that mean?
So what it means is each Bitcoin contract is going to be 1 Bitcoin, and each ETH contract is going to be 10 to 50 Ethereum tokens. Which that is pretty mad.
Interesting. Okay,
that's gonna add a total different level of volume and liquidity to the markets in a way. Those that actually understand what I am pointing out to you right now, and please bear in mind who is partnered up with Coinbase.
Yep,
BlackRock. So. Please bear in mind what this actually means.
Yeah.
Like, if there was ever a sign for a bull run, we've had 2 of them this week. Number 1, crypto trading on WeChat has been enabled. That's 1 billion.
I missed that one.
It's happened. So that's crazy. I need to verify if that's true. I've seen screenshots of it. I've seen it on. I've contacted a couple of people. I'm yet to get a live screenshot of someone I know that's got WeChat using it. But if that is legit, that's a bull run in its own. Number 2 is this. Like, this is insane. But no one's talking about it. No one cares. Does this add crazy amounts of revenue and profit to Coinbase? Yes. So for me, Coinbase stock is definitely something to look at. And then there's all the talk of US legislation moving crypto away from a security to a commodity. Here's the bit about the Bitcoin futures and Ethereum futures. So it's 1 Bitcoin and 10 ETH contracts, which is mad. So other things Coinbase is doing, just to note, they are a gem finder. They found Compound in 2018, OpenSea in 2018, Synthetics in 2020, and Uniswap in 2020. This is the way that their portfolio is structured: 16% in NFT, metaverse, and gaming, 16% in platform and developer tools, 90% in centralized finance, 22% in DeFi, and 27% in protocols and Web3 infrastructure. And then the other massive bullish news was Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank backed Taurus deploys on Polygon blockchain. So this is a trading tool that is going to be used for the ZK trading. So zero proof trading of cryptos via Credit Suisse. So to say that there is big things happening in the market is a massive, massive understatement. Just because I promised I would just do a quick 10-minute or maybe even 5-minute TA shill, I'm going to do that. Which ones did I say I was going to look at? Oh yeah, there was a big drop on Binance. Loads of people were messaging me about what's going on with Binance. So let's just take a quick look at what's happening at Binance. So I'm going to give my live reaction on what I think is happening with Binance. Oh, that's B2B. Binance.
I mean, there's been a huge short in the crypto market today. The market dropped by 50. Actually, no. The range today has been about 60 billion drop.
Oh yes, I remember why. That was killer news that needs to get shared. Oh my god, this was killer news. It's because the SEC have finally gone for Binance.
Yes. Yeah, they're going after CZ, aren't they? And this is at the same time that CZ is looking to potentially step back.
Yeah.
But he's apparently who was it? It was the one of the regulators for the Abu Dhabi Securities Commission. Looks as though he's being positioned to take over as CEO.
Hey, stepping down.
Yeah,
not necessarily, but this might be coinciding with what's going on with the SEC, right? Like he's looking to potentially, who knows what's going on there, but
doing a little swapsies, isn't it? He's doing a little swap.
Exactly. Yep, the old switcheroo.
Yeah.
You see my seat, I'll get your seat.
Yeah, classic switcheroo. But it's a case of I think it's that, and it's somewhere on our Twitter. They've also accused Cardano, Coty, Axie, and a couple of, I think another 6 more of being securities. So I think this is the last final bit of. This is literally the SEC throwing everything that they've got at crypto. Yeah. This is literally, they literally have nothing left now. Like what else are you going to attack? You've attacked everybody and accused everybody. So I think this is, the bottom's already in quite clearly. And I think this is going to be the final little dip that we're going to get before a crazy bull run. And I will just pull up this TA to have a look at why. So this is Binance on the long term. If we look at it on the monthly, as you know, there is, when you zoom out, if in doubt, zoom out, we can see one hell of a support line here. And in fact, that doesn't even look like a support line to me. This looks like an accumulation zone to me. I don't know if you can see it like I can see it, but let me just draw a big box around it, and then you'll be like, oh my days. Whoever has been accumulating them, and who do I think has been accumulating all of this? Well, probably a nation state that is pretending that they're not into crypto, but they're into crypto, and they're acquiring an asset that does everything that Ethereum does. This flag has stars and is red.
China.
Yeah. To me, this makes sense.
I was going to go with Australia. But...
Do you remember, right, my unpopular opinion when I said I think Binance is going to dip? And my technical analysis reason was because it is not done the percentage drawdowns that other altcoins have already done. No, it was not macro. It was based on that TA alone. So it could be self-fulfilling on that front with regards to, all-time highs versus current price.
Well, for me, let's just I've been right a couple of times when I've done this. So let's hope I'm right on this one. Let's go from here to here. So the lowest is there. So we're looking at Binance getting to at least to around 1,202 and potentially 2,834. So that's a 10x. Potentially, if it does go bananas. So let's just leave that there, a monthly fib on Binance, because I don't know if there's going to be many channels showing you a monthly view of any crypto, let alone Binance. But yeah, for me, if Binance comes down any further, if we get below 240, 250, I'm copying some Binance. You've heard me say it. Like, I'm buying some of that. Same thing with, what was the other one I wanted to show? With ARK Invest. Same thing again. Like, it just, I just want some exposure to some Chinese stuff, basically. JD, I want some exposure to. Tencent, I want some exposure to. So if we look at ARK Invest right now, this is down, what? Currently 73% down. It was 81% down. This was at the same price level that it was at in 2017. Like, just deep that. That's 5 years worth of value that it's lost and it's had wiped off. Now, the reason why I'm saying I'm a big believer in this to go up is because this whole ETF is based around innovation. Now, the only way this wouldn't increase and get back up to at least here, in my opinion, at least to 71 and do 100% gain, is if there is no innovation happening in the next 5 years. So you tell me, is there going to be any innovation in the next 5 years? I don't know. You tell me. And then the next one.
In the next 5 years, then in the past 10 to 12 years, maybe 15.
Exactamundo. And then the next one that no one's talking about is everyone's busy talking about NVIDIA. And shout out to Jay, who I live with, who reminded me about Tesla stock. He said, have you looked at Tesla recently? And I was like, nah, you know what? I haven't. I've just been DCA in here and there. But when we actually look at it, Tesla is now above the 200-week moving average. So that's a pretty bullish sign, number one. And then number two, something that he noted, and we did, fair play to Jason. Something that we put out when we went through the earnings report is that the Cybertruck is now in production. Now, Tesla doesn't do advertising, but when people start seeing Tesla Cybertrucks on the road, even as an institution, you're going to start investing. And then the other thing is, I don't know if anyone else has had them on Instagram. Tesla don't really do advertising. Elon doesn't really do advertising. But on Instagram, I keep getting ads for the Starlink. Is anyone else getting that?
No.
Yeah, I've mostly been seeing that as well.
Yeah, they've reduced the Starlink from $300 to $100. Now,
Yeah,
I'm like, this don't make no sense. Like, why are they doing this? And I think it's got something to do with the announcements that he's got planned with the Cybertruck. This is complete speculation, by the way. This is not investment advice. This is not investment theory. This is straight speculation that Elon is up to something with Doge, Starlink, Tesla. Something's going on. He's trying to position these satellites and these internet hotspots for something. But I don't know why. I don't know why the sudden urge to get as many people as possible to have these Starlink things in line for when the Cybertruck's coming out.
Super random thought. This might not be it. This is literally where my brain's just gone to instantly. It's not like an Apple AirTag effect, is it? Or anything like that. So you know that it's a GPS network and everything taps into that. This isn't some kind of, so you know how, say everybody's got more Starlink locations around and you can use it for tracking or navigation and things like that. Basically, would it be able to work as like Elon's own GPS network or something like that in a similar way that like Apple AirTags and AirPlane Find My iPhone work in the way that and just need to be in proximity to any Apple device and they can be located? Is he trying to create an even wider mass infrastructure of Tesla and Starlink items?
So you're saying
I don't know.
Starlink could be, so the cars are already mapping the world. So you're saying that
Exactly. So the core purpose of Starlink is remote locations. So it's going to be in locations where people won't have Teslas because you're not in cities, there's no charging points. So Starlink's, yeah, It's kind of ideal customer is remote locations. I don't know. That's literally what my brain started to then, but
no, that it makes sense because I've been saying that I think Starlink is going to become a node. The Starlinks are going to become the nodes for his decentralized network, and it's not going to be a decentralized network for for finance. It's going to be a decentralized network for automation, not just cars. We're talking drones. We're talking everything automated. Starlink is going to be in the global position, and because of all the data that he's got from these cars, he's got 10 times more data than any other self-driving or automation company on the planet. So who wants that data? Everybody that has anything that moves. And if he can create a decentralized network, that absorbs more data. I think he's onto something that there's a play there. I can't see what the play is.
Big play. No idea what it is, but it's a big play.
I can feel it. I can feel it in my gut. I can just feel like things being positioned, and I'm just like,
it does feel like there's some real value in having so many nodes in rural locations where it doesn't currently exist.
But I don't know what it is. But I know Elon's not stupid, so that's where I'm like, what is he doing? But yeah, so yeah, that's my my little bits of TA. Is there any questions that anybody has for anybody?
Ooh, Starlink and the brain chip. That's a good one.
Don't even.
Don't get started on that, man.
What was it?
Ben, why are you going there?
No, it wasn't me.
No, it was the Sensei.
Who said that?
It was
Starlink and
the
the brain chip.
Yeah, it was me. That's the first one I think.
So you think the play is that people are going to be able to upload their brains into a decentralized network?
Hey, listen, stranger things have been televised.
No pun intended and no advert intended.
Trust me.
Okay, yeah, that's it makes sense. It makes sense. Then people would literally live forever.
Or
No idea.
Throwing a little dystopian spin in here.
Go on.
That's an awful lot of tracking data.
That's a lot of tracking data because if he can ping those off everybody's iWatch, off everyone's Fitbit, off everyone.
Neuralink.
Oh, off the Neuralink. That's a different level of tracking data. That's a whole different.
That's a bit scary, isn't it?
Remember what I was saying about Twitter?
Sorry to pile in, but I actually agree with what Ben's just said there because you've already got Sweden who've already got the microchips in their arms, right?
Yeah.
Or in their hands.
Yeah.
So with what you guys have been saying this evening, if you tie it all together and think futuristically, like Elon or Gates or whoever it is that's amongst that ilk, you guys could have just kind of worked out what's going on.
Yeah, very good.
Tie it in with the ID that we were talking about earlier as well. Oof.
Tie it in with the universal basic income.
I'm just thinking out of my own box. Listen to this box. Do you know what I mean? But a lot
does
seems
make
to be tied
sense.
together.
And this box
Because you remember the conversation we were having when Elon bought Twitter, and we were saying like Elon has the access to just human communication on steroids, and now Neuralink as well. Not only does he have the immense amount of data points on human communication, he has the internal of it as well.
And what Sensei has just put there about
that he made me laugh.
Universal basic income. No, if you don't take the chip, you don't get your universal basic income.
Makes sense.
Who is not going to take £1,600 a month?
Makes sense.
Who's not going to do that?
Free Neuralink for everyone.
Mate, people will do it for a free Apple headset. What are you talking about?
Sorry, not free. You get paid to have it implanted.
Oh man.
Slow ticking time bomb.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Like if that's the play, that is
The data points are insane. Like the ads model at the moment is prime for it, isn't it? It's like Facebook. It's like you don't pay for anything.
Yeah.
It's extraction. So the amount of data points and value that he could extract out of that is he could predict everything. Like no longer would you need to predict how shoppers gonna buy and this, that, or how they're feeling. No. You could literally say, okay, oh look, there's a spike in depression in this area. Oh, people are going to buy this certain thing. Oh, I'll invest in this.
Yeah.
The direct tap into human emotion.
Yeah, it's a different it's a different level of
it's a whole different ball game. But this is definitely the direction that we're going in. And I mean, as crazy as what we're talking about sounds, look a few years down the line, 15, 20 years down the line, what will be.
You can't look 15, 20 years down the line.
I'm just saying, like, at that point in time, like, I'm not saying, like, we're going to remember this moment or whatever, but if we do, and this is captured, and down the line, at that point in time, most of the stuff that we're talking about would be actualized.
Again, I don't think it's going to be 15, 20 years. I think the time compression that we're going through is rapid. I think everything that we think is 20 years is 5 years. Everything we think is 10 years away is like 1 year away.
Could be potentially.
There's a book that I read recently called AI 2049 by an author called Kai-Fu Lee. And the premise of that is there's 10 different scenarios exploring 10 different applications of AI. So going from deep fakes through to AR, extended reality, that sort of thing, applications in the education context. And that's really, really interesting. There's some really, really interesting ideas in there that are starting to sound a little bit like reality and not just fiction. And Kai-Fu Lee is interesting because he's also deep in the AI space as well. So this has been written with professionals to create these narratives around these different ideas.
What's the book called again?
AI 2049.
Well, I know what I'm getting. Also on Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, it's on Audible. Yeah.
I'm jumping on that now.
Oh, I've got AI 2041 visions for the future.
Hang on, let me find it. Have I got my name? Have I got the year wrong?
Kai-Fu Lee.
Kai-Fu Lee. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
2041. I was 8 years out.
Nah,
what's 8 years in AI?
Well, 8 years in AI is the difference between intergalactic travel.
That's the one.
And okay. Well,
that's good. It's there's like a little story about one specific application, and then there's like some more analysis around like, this is where we're at the moment, this is what would need to happen to make something like this a reality, this is what the tech is, all that sort of stuff. It's really, really good.
Oh, okay. My kind of book. Right, guys, this has been a incredible episode. We've overrun quite a bit, but it's just been value, really deep conversation. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you to all of the new people that are here. And yeah, God bless you all. And speak to you all very soon. Thank you,
guys.
Absolutely.
Guys.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Bye-bye.